Welcome back to Issues of Faith. Happy to have with us Eric Stillman, Executive Director of the Jewish Federation and Jewish Foundation of Nashville and Middle Tennessee, talking about Yom Kippur and also Judaism, just Judaism in general, Judaism 101. We appreciate you coming on. I said as we're going to break, I'm going to ask what happens, what the Jewish faith believes what about the afterlife? What happens after we die?
So that is really one of the great unknowns. I'm sure that people of different faiths and different traditions have a belief as to what happens. I don't know that anybody actually really does know. And what in Judaism is considered the understanding is we will not know until the end of days. And we talked about prior to the break that until such time as we do reach the end of days, we will not really know, and we'll have to simply wait to find out.
On some levels, that's a major focus in the Christian faith. You know, heaven, what happens after you die. You're saying that's not a major focus, is that right?
You're correct. In Judaism, the focus is on the life we live now and the responsibility that we have as people to other people, to our faith, to God, right here, right now. And so Judaism is very much focused on the actions and the good deeds that we need to be performing in this lifetime. And that is really probably one of the most essential elements to Jewish life.
And so, correct me if this is wrong, the attitude of Judaism might best be summed up as, we really don't know, but if there is life after this one and a reward for what we do, then surely it will be dependent upon the kind of life we have lived. Therefore, let us strive to follow God's path as closely and enthusiastically as possible. Does that sound right?
Yes, I think that's a good summation, and that's why the emphasis is so strong on the good deeds, the acts that we need to perform in this life, and as such, hoping that we have shown God that our positives far outweigh our negatives in terms of how we've lived our lives.
How large is the Jewish faith in Middle Tennessee? How many people practice the Jewish faith?
So we did a demographic study about 5 years ago, and at that time the estimate was there were 11,000 people in the Jewish community of Nashville and Middle Tennessee. Based on very rough estimates, we're growing, and as our general population continues to grow, the Jewish community grows, and so we've heard numbers from demographers of perhaps 12,000 to 13,000 people. However, until we do another demographic study, we won't have any specific scientific number to point to.
Now, on this show, we've certainly talked about how many denominations are struggling to maintain the same level of membership that they have in the past. Is that the case? What about with Judaism?
So in the case of the Jewish community, and particularly here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee, we're very fortunate. We have 5 thriving Jewish congregations. We have an influx of new people moving into the community, people who have moved from other parts of the country, people who are interested in moving to Nashville, whether because of economic opportunity or the lifestyle. They particularly may want to join our Jewish community. And so we have that influx, and fortunately, there's a high participation rate here. People, they want to be involved. They are interested and active in going to the congregations to participate in Jewish life and being involved with the Jewish Federation, being involved with the Jewish Community Center and our many different agencies and organizations. So we're very fortunate here in this community to be in growth mode, and I know that's not the case in other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm. Israel. How central is Israel to your faith? What role does it play, and just how central is it to you?
Israel is a deeply personal matter to me, and I think as any Jewish person, the relationship to Israel on a spiritual level is very much reflected in the prayers that we recite and in the holy texts that we read. Israel is also, of course, a modern state. It is a nation of its own and its own laws and government, and so there are no doubt different political views of Israel, and within the Jewish community, within the general community as a whole, there can be a variety of different ways to view Israel. I do believe that from a faith perspective, that there really is no question about the centrality of Israel as a spiritual, significant part of Jewish life. And we, as Jewish people, will act upon that through travel to Israel, through relationship with Israeli people who may come to visit us here in Nashville, Middle Tennessee, as well as keeping up with news that's happening in Israel and voicing our opinions. And we may be in favor of some actions by the government of Israel, we may be opposed to some actions. And as long as we're expressing ourselves from a place of love and a place of considering the importance of the existence of the Jewish state of Israel, then we may differ on policies or politics, and that's fine, because in a healthy democratic way, we can embrace the fact that Israel is a wonderful light unto the nations, and there are times where it can stumble and stub its toe, so to speak, and we can remain in love with Israel as the spiritual homeland and still express our feelings and thoughts about the modern day politics of the state.
You all are working with other faiths, right? What are some of the things that you all are doing in connection with other faiths here in Nashville?
So one of the things which I really like, the Jewish Federation here in Nashville, Middle Tennessee, has a very active community relations role to play. And so we are in active involvement with faiths from Christianity to Islam, and certainly we've worked with in the past with Baha'i and other faiths as well. And I think that that's one of the real strengths of our community, because especially not having a really large number of members of the Jewish community, it's very important to have strong, positive relationships with other faith communities, as well as other folks within the community as a whole, regardless of where they may live or their status in terms of any aspects of their relationship to a faith-based community. So one of the things that the Jewish Federation has done is to take on a social action project, for instance, with the Islamic Center. We've taken on, and through one of our congregations, are going to be participating. I was honored to be invited to participate with clergy to go to Washington, D.C. and to visit the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum and the African American History Museum. And to me, these opportunities are profound. And one of the ways which I saw this in such a dramatic way was after the killings at the synagogue in Pittsburgh in October of 2018. There was a memorial service which was held at the temple, Congregation Ohavi Shalom, and literally thousands of people, all faiths and denominations and races and walks of life, came that evening to show their solidarity and their support for the Jewish people as we were grieving the loss of those 11 lives. And when we asked for the faith leaders of other denominations and other religions to stand and be recognized, it was literally a sea of leaders from other faiths standing there with us, with their parishioners, with their followers, and that was an incredible moment.
Thank you for sharing all of this. We could talk a lot longer, but I want to thank you for coming on. We've run out of time, but Eric Stillman, thank you, Executive Director of Jewish Federation, Jewish Foundation of Nashville, Middle Tennessee. Thanks to you for watching Issues of Faith. Have a great day.